Hey, everybody, welcome in. It's another episode of Landmark Live. It's a production of the Platte County Landmark newspaper. We are thrilled to have you with us. I'm Ivan Foley. This is my co host, Brad Carl, a musician for hire. If you need some music, he, he is the man to seek out. I hope you've checked out his latest tune, Meet Me at the Speakeasy.
Meet me there, Ivan. I'll see you there
All
later.
right, we'll see you later. Hey, we got a special guest tonight, and we know he's been a busy man, so we want to get to him just as quickly as we can. And if our tech man Schneider gives me the thumbs up that the mayor, Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, it is great to see you all. Happy to talk to you and be back with Landmark Live.
We appreciate that. I mean, you've had such a busy, actually a crazy week. I was going to say busy day, but you've had a crazy week, right?
It has been more interesting than I usually like. Silly me, I thought after we passed the budget a few weeks ago, it was 1.7 billion, and then we got the $200 million in stimulus from the federal government that everything would be super easy. It turns out that is the opposite of the case when you got politics of a big city to handle.
Yeah, Mayor, you've been on TV more than Leave It to Beaver reruns, as they say, right?
It's funny because even I get tired of seeing my bald head. My mom is like, "Why are you in so much trouble?" So, it is something that we
Well,
have to be concerned with.
but you're making Mama proud, though, right?
Well, you know what? She's still, even though she's one of my biggest critics, I think she still likes me the most, and I can do no wrong. Although to just jump to something, she on Easter, she said, "Hey, they're talking about you running for something different." She's like, "You need to be mayor and fix all this stuff." So, that's at least the mom endorsement of things.
Yeah, you know what? We were going to get to that later, but since you brought it up, hey, how about those rumors that you might be considering a run for U.S. Senate?
I think what I've said before, and it continues to be the case, is this: my focus and my daily focus, as you've probably seen from this week, is Kansas City. I am still in my office. I have meetings after this telecast is over, and so that's where my primary focus is. I do, however, have an interest in making sure that the state of Missouri has a choice that will stand up for our cities, our suburbs, so many other jurisdictions, frankly, our rural jurisdictions too, where people care about things like making sure that we have funding to support our workforce, our city workers, our firefighters, our police officers, making sure that we have things like adequate health care. And so that's a long-winded politician way of saying, I'm thinking about
Well, good. We got some breaking news. He's
Great.
thinking about it, Brad.
I heard that.
Okay, Mayor, let's talk quickly about the homeless encampment that you've had down there at City Hall, and you had some breaking news in that this afternoon. So just, if you would, bring our readers and viewers tonight up to date on what's going on in that situation.
Well, the story there is just is a simple one. Starting on Monday, and they're right outside City Hall. I said, what the hey? I'll go downstairs. I'll talk to them. And I'm one who's talked a lot about: are there ways you can de-escalate? Are there alternative solutions? It seemed like we were at a bit of a stalemate. What I didn't want to have, and I know there are people who disagree with maybe the softer approach we've used, but I don't want us on CNN. So I don't want video of everybody moving a giant encampment and lawsuits against the police or whatever. And so I thought, let's try to see if there's a simpler way. And what we had an agreement for today was this: that the folks are currently vacating the camp. Many have already. We're going down to Westport to address the same issue. In exchange, right, we've done some things that Kansas City actually was already doing, but we agree we can amplify, step up our efforts, including, for example, making sure that we have hotel and motel spaces for those that don't feel comfortable in a crowded shelter environment, making sure we're working on helping to get people jobs, healthcare, all those sorts of things. I mean, and we need to make sure people use these services. That's usually been our hardest challenge. Our shelter community, I know, wants to be a part of it, but I think this could be a model. I mean, look, I have had people, and I'm on social media, unfortunately, but there are people that tell me, oh my God, you're wasting all the money, all that sort of stuff. Well, you know what? I think it costs us a lot less to try to get these people their lives rebuilt rather than, paying for their consistent ER visits, the jail nights, all those sorts of things that we end up often doing. And so that's what we have to announce tonight. The City Hall encampment is being broken down. I think you'll see that in other spots throughout the city. And in exchange, I think we're going to make sure we're getting these people some of the help and the services they've been wanting.
Now, these folks are, some of them are headed to what I believe are 500 hotel rooms. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and in case you're wondering, is this the same city budget that was strained before? This is, the money we've identified so far comes from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. It is to address issues like this one. We were lucky enough to get $15 million back in the summer. We got an additional $7 million this winter. It's going to be through those sorts of funds that we're looking to address what is fundamentally a housing issue.
Yeah. Excellent. Hey, folks, you're watching Landmark Live. It's a production of the Platte County Landmark newspaper. We are visiting with Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas. If you have questions, enter them into the chat, and we will try to get to them. Mayor, last time we talked to you, Chris Kamler and I talked to you about a year ago at this time. We were just beginning this whole pandemic, and to bring us up to date on the Kansas City status right now as far as the pandemic is concerned.
Oh, man. Well, it is it's an interesting time. And for the most part, things have gone well. We continue to have conversations about reducing some of the extra rules we have. I have to give credit, by the way, to the people of our Kansas City Metro, Western Missouri, and Platte County. A few weeks back, I was able to spend a lot of time in Weston and stayed for dinner. And just really was impressed by the fact that a lot of these same rules are being followed in communities in Weston, just like they are in Westport, just like they are in a lot of other places. That we have helped stop the spread by doing so. We have helped out our community. And so our hope is our current order expires on May 1st. Our hope is that we'll be in a position where we can look to scale back. However, I see that in the upper Midwest, Michigan, for example, I know there's been a dramatic increase in cases, I think from the British variant or the South African variant of COVID-19. In Ontario, I know they're doing another stay-at-home order for 4 weeks. Ontario, I'll note, by the way, is run by a pretty center-right type of government. They're the closest you'll get to Republicans in Canada. And so what that tells me is it's serious stuff. This wasn't just nanny state type politics in Canada's biggest province. And so I want to make sure that we don't get those types of numbers. That's why for now, we still encourage people to be safe, take an appropriate approach to these things. And hopefully we're all back to a summertime where we can do this Landmark Live in person again sometime.
That would be awesome. We'd love to have you up here in Platte County, just for a quick visit, if nothing else. But so you spent some time in Weston. That's cool. Did you hit Parkville while you were up this way?
Well, I make it to Parkville a lot more, actually.
Do you?
So it was close. I don't want to break too much news, but gosh, if we could annex some of the cutest communities around, we would take Parkville. We'll cut a deal so y'all don't have to, pay some taxes or something. But it's a lovely community, and every time I'm up there, I like to get dinner in Parkville a decent amount. Weston's a little longer trip for me, but for anybody in the whole region who's looking for a place where you can get relaxed and kind of unwind in a way, I've always found Platte County to be among the best spots for that.
Yeah. Hey, did you visit the Speakeasy in downtown Parkville? Did you?
I haven't, actually. I'm not up for that yet. So
you're not one of the members. You're not on the list again.
You have to get the invitation.
Well, how many people do I have to know in this city to make sure such a thing can happen?
We don't know.
We sure can't help you. We can't get in either. So don't feel bad. So, Mayor, going back to the pandemic, and Platte County got $12 million in CARES money way back last spring. And I was listening in on the meeting when that was announced, and that it was mentioned that the state treasurer had requested that Platte County pass along $6 million of that to the city of Kansas City. Well, our county commissioners, as I've written about many, many times and written editorials about it many, many times, didn't see it that way. And I just wondered your reaction. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. Give me some of your reaction to Platte County's choices involving that $12 million, half of which was supposedly designated for your city.
Well, Ivan, I'm a guy who is bashful about giving my opinions on things and never want to cause waves.
Right.
What I'll say, what I'll say is that, it was disappointing. This wasn't money that to try to line the pockets of me or council people or anything like that. It was money that was going to go right back to supporting Kansas City Fire Department responses to COVID-19 in Platte County, Kansas City Police, Kansas City Health. Our health director, I know people don't necessarily think so, but he lives in Platte County. I mean, it's the sort of thing where we were really trying to make sure we're doing right by the Kansas Cityans who are in Platte County. I believe it's 54,000. And, we were not able to do that to the extent that I think was planned. And, when I look at other jurisdictions, when I look at Wyandotte County, Kansas, that is able to have, so much investment in COVID-19 that they have just walk-ups for anybody who's over the age of 65. You can walk to their vaccine place. You don't have to make an appointment. You can just go in. That's the sort of thing I'd love to see in Kansas City North. I'd love to see that in Platte County. And, Platte County wasn't alone. You probably read about our challenges with our friends in Jackson County, and those were the stuff of legend as well. But it's the challenge of being a city in so many counties. I have to say, for those of you who are Northland watchers, my favorite thing was Clay County, I think, thought they were sticking it to us by giving us less than they requested, and they're the only ones that gave us money for about 4 or 5 months.
You were celebrating there for a while.
Gene and Luann, you've done me a favor. God bless you.
Right.
I don't know if somebody's ever quite said that, but everything will work out. I have respect for the Platte County commissioners. We'll continue to try to work together as things go on in the future.
You did try to work with them because let's advance to the topic of the Northland soccer complex. I think you supported that project, right?
Well, no good deed goes unpunished, so I did. As you know, that was a project that, boy, we inherited the winds of controversy on that one. But I think that the reasons that we saw for it were so important to this day. That was a true economic development project. And, I heard people talk about, is it equitable in terms of fields for people in a certain part of the city versus another? To me, first of all, Lord knows, you're seeing me talking about how we're investing millions for those who are experiencing homelessness. I'm from the 3rd District. I live in the 3rd District. That's the east side of Kansas City. Those are the sorts of things that, sure, we will invest in, but I want to make sure that we continue in every part of our city. Try to develop, to try to grow, to try to bring more revenue long-term to every part of the city. And it's my view that the reason you invest in things like that is because you can then get more money coming in that helps invest in fields in Swope Park. You can get more money that's coming in to help make this become a more dynamic city. Dan Fowler, councilman from Platte County, has said a few times that, the way we really address things in Kansas City is we need about 100,000 more people of population, at least. A lot of that growth is going to be in the Northland. And I think it's important for us to make sure that we have the amenities that people in Johnson County have, that we have the opportunities that people have anywhere.
Do you think the soccer complex will spur some growth in that particular area? Or is that one thing that's talked about that might be overblown? What's your thought on that?
Well, you always wonder what you have to tell to the development lawyers. And my view is that one thing that you have to tell them is, all right, I know you told me this will create $5 billion of development. I don't think that's necessarily true. But what I do think is a good opportunity for us is to establish retail, is to continue to be a sign for residential. I went to grade school and high school in South Kansas City, about 115th and State Line for anybody who ever gets there. And so I always saw 119th when it was just growing, and 135th Street in Overland Park and Leawood. And it started with just some people believing and invested in things, and you get all the houses behind, and then it just keeps growing and growing forever. And I want to make sure that we're doing that in the Northland. I think it's fair to say that we have for a number of years left the Northland kind of by its lonesome. And so you see a lot of, you see a ton of housing development. You see maybe more strip malls than we would like, because we haven't actually, I think, built that type of long-term sustainable development we'd like. And so I hope this is kind of a turning point. When I think about the Northland, and sometimes I annoy my Northland colleagues because I'll vote against projects where I say, no, I want us to be the nicest, coolest place for somebody who's looking for that type of environment. And in the same way that we say that about the Country Club Plaza, I want us to be able to say, well, look, if you're looking for quality suburban living, a quality suburban lifestyle with outstanding schools and safety, don't look at Overland Park, look at Kansas City North.
Yeah. When I first started here back in the 80s, Platte County's kind of tagline was country living at the city's doorstep. Well, I don't know how much country living's left in Platte County, but it's getting there as far as what you're talking about there with the growth and development, and so we look forward to it.
And if I can, one thing that I have particularly appreciated about Platte County is that, notwithstanding a few areas where I think we can do some true improvements, a lot of our nicest new developments in all of Kansas City, Missouri are in Platte County. And that's compared to Jackson, Clay, everything else. And don't get me wrong, I love everybody the same. This isn't me saying I have a preference for one versus the other, but it is that we need to keep things going and make sure things are done well.
Yeah. Now, do you love the one Kansas City voter that's in Cass County? I think that you mentioned the other.
That guy is hard to read. So he was a yes on the KCI airport.
Was he?
He was a no on the earnings tax the other day. And I thought, I thought I had reached out to him. And fun thing, it was a weird little fact. When you sign up to run for office in Kansas City, Missouri, you can sign up at any of our election boards. And so every year people try to game which one is the fastest. I, both as a city councilman and as a mayor, have signed up down in Cass County. So go down to Harrisonville. And I always assume maybe I'll bump into our several Kansas Cities down there.
So I guess you could say he does not have a secret ballot, really, when he votes on a Kansas
City. That's a very good point.
Now, Brad, you're excited about the Northland soccer complex, right? Your daughter's the soccer player.
Yeah, the only problem is that by the time it gets built, she'll be not old enough, be too old to play there. Yeah, exactly. But I am excited for the reasons that the mayor is talking about, and I really do believe in it. And so yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Brad's daughter is, in fact, was coached by one of the Platte County Commissioners, Mayor, who coaches intentional soccer.
Oh gosh, are we gonna? That's a long story. We're not sure what it means, but
if you could help us define intentional soccer, sometime we'll have you back on the show. We can talk soccer.
I think it's a coach staying employed, right? You come up with these taglines, and parents are like, "You're."
That's awesome,
right?
So the new KCI, it's about what, halfway done?
Absolutely, isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
We had all this drama and and I know you were covering it, and you all were probably talking about it for years. I have been so heartened that during mayoralty of about a year and 8 months that has had a ton of squeaky wheels. This is one that hasn't, and I appreciate that. And so, I think that we're doing good work. We're getting good workforce representation. The people of Kansas City and the people of Platte County can be proud to be hosts to an outstanding airport that these days appears to be like the only airport for Kansans, and an important one here for Western Missouri.
Yeah. Do you anticipate that coming in at the current budget?
I do. I expect it to come in on budget, and my hope is that it comes in earlier than time. Remember that it was slated originally to end in January 2023, and then like 2 months later, it said March 2023. I like January for a few different reasons. One, it makes sure we're clear and ready for the NFL draft, which is coming in April of 23. But then the other thing is, this guy has to, depending on what I do in the future, has to run for re-election. And, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to run for re-election and say, this thing's done, right? As opposed to just delaying it a heck of a lot longer.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody, you're watching Landmark Live. It's a production of the Platte County Landmark newspaper. We are visiting with Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas, who has had a crazy, crazy busy week. We have not touched on the fact that the e-tax was renewed, right, relatively comfortably, right? By what, 77% approval? Or
77%, 77%. I think that's why it's clearly time that the state legislature not require us to vote on this every year. However, you're one of your state senators from Platte County, and a guy who's a friend of mine, although we see politics very, very differently. Tony Lucas, I need to call him and see if I can get him to change his mind, which I probably won't, in terms of freeing us from this obligation to pay a ton of money to have this election. The Kansas Cityans, no matter the mayor, time and time again, have said, let's make sure we get done. And I think I'll remind us that I believe Mark Funkhauser was barely, but was still mayor at the first of these renewal elections back in 2011. And then, Sly James the last time, Quinton Lucas this time. Let's make it so the next guy or gal doesn't have to worry about raising money instantly and going through this effort again.
What would you suggest? Would you suggest like a 10-year sunset on that, or a 10-year renewal, or would you suggest, hey, what's your idea?
At this point, I take what I can get. But, for example, our zoo tax is a forever tax. I would think that the earnings tax should have that same opportunity. The reason being, because just because you say it's forever doesn't mean that the people of Kansas City can't, bring it back for a vote. And if ever we're angry enough and we decide that we want to jack up retirees' property taxes, which I think is a terrible idea, then, I would think that we could have that come up. But, I think our capital improvement sales tax is one example that I think is about a 20-year window. Public safety sales tax, 10. And so I think there are options that are more in line with good governance, but also making sure that we're not, in front of the voters all the time.
Yeah. So let me see if we have a question or two coming in. One viewer wants to know, are there any plans for any cross-state projects between you and the St. Louis? Because you campaigned for the. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Speak to that if you will.
It's always nice when you campaign for a winner, right? And so Tashara Jones, the new mayor of St. Louis City, we have a lot of the same issues going on. The thing that's so interesting about Kansas City is like we have everything, right? Being a mayor of Kansas City is almost like I imagine being like a governor of Rhode Island. I'll just compare us to them because they're pretty darn small. From the agricultural side of things to really true urban issues. And St. Louis, being more of just an urban city itself, has a lot of those concerns. And so I do expect for us to work together on an agenda that respects Missouri cities, on an agenda that's looking to address violent crime and the root causes of it. And I think those are the steps that we're going to be taking. But I am excited to work with Tashara Jones of St. Louis. And I look forward to inviting her over here to Kansas City, and maybe we'll take her up to Weston for a few just to see how beautiful things are in Platte County.
There you go. Brad, any other questions? You can chime in over there.
I can't read that entire thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll move on to Mayor. Have you seen the drawing of the planned Buck O'Neill Bridge, the new one? And if so, what's your reaction to it? Because I have a reaction, but I want to hear yours.
I mean, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan, and I've said it. I talked to some people. I think the aforementioned Councilman Fowler said, well, we just need the darn bridge. And for me, and maybe it's just a nostalgic type, but I love, and I have always loved driving over the old Broadway, now Buck O'Neill Bridge. Now, not because of its state, but you look in and it's a vista. And frankly, going the other direction, it kind of sets you for something different. You're going over the river. It's this sign, kind of, this great river crossing, and to letting us, know something special about this town. And so to just build a bridge that looks like the one that crosses over 435, I think is a heck of a missed opportunity. So I'm expecting us to do a little bit better, and I'll continue to push on that one.
Definitely a lack of character in that bridge design of the new one.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I just think there's a time, and it's just like, if you're buying a house or anything like that, you're spending so darn much, right? Why don't we actually try to do something that is memorable? Either retaining the old bridge, and I know there have to be a few little changes, or keeping a new one, but just doing something that lets people know that, they're in Kansas City, they're in a special place, and that, we care about, kind of how things look too.
Yeah. So when you walk into I assume you would be meeting with folks from MoDOT to express concerns on that, or would you?
So I have staff folks that I think have been working on some of those things. Sorry, I'm trying to close a window. And I believe that we continue on those conversations. Expect us to have, and I hate task forces. I just hate task forces, but you can't avoid them somehow. And so expect us to have more there soon on folks that can help us raise money. Right? Looking at the private sector to be a part of that, but that have ways that we can make sure that the new crossings of the Missouri River incorporate the beauty and the style that we have in Kansas City.
I think it'd be great if you just walked into a room with the MoDOT guys and said, guys, what the hell? And then just walked out.
So, by the way, this is a journalist versus a politician, because this is the stuff that they can do. Right? I don't get the same chance. So,
oh my goodness. So political plans for, we kind of touched on this. Where do you see yourself in, let's say, 3 years, 4 years, Quinton Lucas?
Yeah, gosh, I hope I get my ball up off the TV screen too. But, over the years ahead, I think, we're going to continue to address important issues here in Kansas City. I've told others that it's something I'll be thinking about over probably the late spring and early summer months if I were to want to get into a statewide race like the United States Senate race. And so that's something that we'll continue to evaluate. In terms of where my priorities lie, though, it will always be well, certainly family and faith and all that. But Kansas City, I'm still lucky to have this job. I still wonder sometimes why you guys hired me. I'm sure there are some in Kansas City who continue to ask that too. But more than anything, I want to make sure that some of the things we promised happen. And I will say this, I ran talking about enhanced delivery of services. I ran talking about enhanced investment in road resurfacing. And, we're far from perfect now, but you're looking at a city that's going to put $20 million more in road resurfacing this year. We have a new city manager who's hit the ground running, even with controversy to start his tenure, which I thought was unfair. He's somebody who has done a great job and continues to. We're getting better at service delivery. We're weathering an economic crisis. We'll address the public safety points. It's not easy, but I think there are more steps ahead for us to make sure we're taking care of all that.
Yeah. Let's touch on the police department for a bit, if you can. I mean, you're one of the 5 members of the Board of Police Commissioners. The police chief has come under some criticism in the past year or so in many circles. Mayor, would you evaluate for us how you think the police chief is performing in his job?
I say a few things to start off, and I rarely voice my disagreements with the police chief in public because I think we have a board process, and that's how we do it. Today was one exception because I do not think that either the city manager, or the police chief, or the fire chief should be involved in partisan politics. And people say, well, Lucas, that's very unfair. I get it because I am a Democrat myself, but you know what? Everybody can vote on me and can vote me out. It can recall me or do all types of things. That's how it balances. The police chief is an independent position, one where you really need that buy-in of everybody in the community. And that's what we're trying to get to. In terms of what we're doing, I think that the chief has really worked with us on some areas where we can be more innovative. I think there's a lot more we have to do, but look, I continue to work with Chief Smith. We talk regularly. We'll talk again after this little hiccup. And I think we're going to make sure that we're doing all we can to make the city safe. And by the way, making the city safe is not just an urban core issue, largely related to homicides, although Lord knows that's important. It's also making sure that we have more than 3 police cars patrolling the North Patrol Division, making sure that we actually can respond. I mean, and this is kind of back to the people, if you live in Kansas City, you deserve these services. Back to our chat about the Platte County Commission. We've got to make sure that we're balanced the right way. And balance, sure, it isn't just about economic development projects. It's also about how am I delivering what I need to. And just because you live on the edge of Platte County, if you're in Kansas City, Missouri, hell, we annexed you. And so we need to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. Now, where do we stand on body cams?
On body cams, they're being rolled out. I actually bought, showing that I am far from wealthy, but I guess I got enough. I was at Chipotle last night for dinner because that's what you do, I guess, when you're a mayor. Bought one of our officers some Chipotle, but look, we're trying to roll it out. I think it's starting in the patrol division. We're making progress there, and I think this is going to be good for the officers, for our community, for trust. I think if I could ever actually be able to say things without it getting criticized from the left or the right, I think 80% of us are just normal people, right? I think there are 10% and 10%, and maybe in some jurisdictions it's a little different. They're really extreme, and so 10% hate the police, and 10% are do no wrong, and all of that. But I think most of us just say, there are people going out each day doing a tough job, and what can we do to make sure that hey, if things are clear, objective, honest, right? There aren't all these debates later on. I think body cams are a key part of it, and I'm looking forward to. I say this as a guy, and it seems unbelievable, Ivan. I was endorsed, as you'll remember, by the Fraternal Order of Police, but I was also this pro-marijuana decriminalization and had a lot of activists. And I kind of want to go back to that time. It was cool to have a city that has that level of balance. I don't know. Granted, I don't know if they'll ever endorse me again. Either side, actually, but on the main, I think that's where most Kansas Cityans lie. And whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, whoever you voted for president, I think that's where most of us want to get back to.
Yeah. Now, the residency issue has been in the news a lot. You make your feelings known for our audience tonight, how you stand on the residency issues for police officers.
It is, I don't support abolishing the residency requirement. I happen to think Kansas City is a wonderful city to live in. I think you can get almost anything you want in Kansas City, and there are 14 different school districts within our city's boundaries. And so I do not think there was a reason for us to do so. It was a St. Louis problem. It was a St. Louis issue. And this is why I'm glad that there's a new mayor of St. Louis, because I think that we'll have a chance to work together so we don't have these sorts of one-size-fits-all things that are based on what's happening in St. Louis City County, St. Charles County, everything in eastern Missouri. I want solutions for Royals fans, not Cardinals fans. And I think the residency question was a St. Louis issue, not a Kansas City one. And I think it's going to create greater divisions for us here in Kansas City proper, at a time where, our officers are trying their best. Our rank and file folks are trying their best to bring people together. And I think that that's where we need to be focused, not on some of this other gibberish that is bringing us apart.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, you're watching Landmark Live, a production of the Platte County Landmark newspaper. I'm Ivan Foley. This is my co-host, my favorite musician, Brad Carl. Brad has a new hit single out. Why don't you tell the folks quickly about that? Before
it's called, of course, Meet Me at the Speakeasy.
Yeah.
And it's written for Mayor Quinton Lucas to meet us at the Speakeasy and see if we can break in.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we'll see. It's kind of Parkville themed.
Right, it's Parkville themed, yes.
And that's available on Spotify when?
April 16th, a week from tomorrow.
And we're getting a lot of compliments on the dancers that are in that video.
Yeah, those dancers were in the archives in my basement.
They're very old
video.
school.
Yeah.
They're like but they're very impressive actually.
I pulled out the best ones and put them on the video.
My favorite is the guy that does the stanky leg.
The stanky leg.
And he was doing he was doing
Are
that.
you going to do the leg, Ivan?
What's that?
Are you going to do the stanky leg?
At a future show, yeah. If that's what it takes to I'll do that the night you come up here and do the show in person. How about that?
That's great. That's great.
That's awesome. So let's have a little fun with the mayor now. We've grilled him for about 30 minutes or so, so we appreciate your time. You've been very generous with your time tonight, Mayor, so we appreciate that. So listen now, what does Quinton Lucas do for fun?
Look, I love Chiefs football. If you follow me on social media, I'm pretty active during games. I was a season ticket holder before I had this job. I'll go back to it when I can sit in the 300 section and not, kind of annoy everybody by having a guy yell at me about potholes. But I'm a big sports fan. I mean, I need to get more active pursuits where I'm like actually working out myself. But send me back to the 300 level of Arrowhead Stadium with my buddies. It's kind of a magical place, and that's probably my happy place of all.
Yeah. Now listen, it's hard to get exercise when you're as busy as you are, though, right? I mean, I'm gonna cut you a little slack there.
Well, I appreciate that. Although, I mean, my gosh, this year for all of us has been challenging. It turns out sitting in a chair all the time and eating is real bad for fitting into your clothes and your suits.
I have noticed that.
For all of us, this isn't a sad story, but a lot of us have like a one suit we'll wear for funerals or something, and mine was black. I don't know why I ever got the sleek look, because the latest one I went to, I was like, oh boy,
Right. That's a little snug. Huh?
That's funny.
What kind of music is your favorite?
What I love is some classic R&B, and I'm talking about, going like Earth, Wind and Fire, some other stuff. So like
Nice.
I'm sounding like an old man, which I'm not, I don't think yet, but it's hard sometimes to keep up with some of the newer music. They're just putting a lot in. Some of it, like, I don't know what half the words mean anymore. Like, I had to learn what the stanky leg and
I don't know either.
And then the sad thing is, you guys know this, you're tapping your feet to these things, and then you actually learn the lyrics, and you're like, oh boy, that'll get me canceled.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if we had access to a Quinton Lucas playlist, what would be on it?
Oh, I should go with what's on it now. I have a Motown Greatest Hits album that I run to, and that one has been always a fun one. Marvin Gaye is somebody I really like, and I know I'm with you, man. It's it's just he's soothing. Yeah, his great voice gone. Taken too early, but it's. I think that's something I could use, and particularly these late nights in the office. Oh, it'd be helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, I wanted to ask him a quick
Sure.
question. You alluded to it at the top of the show. You and I had the same barber. I'm also I'm also curious. Another thing we have in common, Mayor, is we both have two first names or two last names. My name's Brad Carl. I grew up being called, actually, I'm still called Carl all the time by people who see it right in my signature in my email and still refer to me as Carl in the email back to me. Have you grown up being called Lucas a lot at times?
It was funny because I was Q growing up mainly, and I still, of course, have this strong Q identity, which just means so much more now. Little did I know, followed by millions and behind an insurrection. But it's I got Lucas a little bit, and it is funny, the infamous day that I had trouble voting. And that was, south of the river, so it's nothing to do with Platte County election board. But it was because they entered in Lucas Quinton. And, it's funny, sometimes you think maybe people know you, but it was an experience where they're like, who's this guy? Lucas Quinton. So that was what it was. But I do get it sometimes, probably not as bad as you do, Carl.
Right. No, wait.
That's awesome.
I'm not famous enough for them to get my name right, but apparently neither are you. So,
well, that's exactly right.
Hey, listen, Mayor, last time you were on, you mentioned you spent some time in Hutchinson, Kansas as a young boy, right?
Sure did. Love my time.
When you were out there, now I have connections to a town that's about 60 miles away from Hutchinson. It was a little town called Maxville, Kansas. Had my grandmother lived out there when I was a kid. We'd go out every Thanksgiving weekend, and we always read the Hutchinson paper was the one she had thrown in her yard. But have you ever heard of the town of Maxville?
I can't say I have, and I apologize for that. My mother might remember it better. But speaking of the newspaper in Hutchinson, which I need to get a subscription to in the mayor's office somewhere, I'll pay for it personally, because it was just, I love, and you guys provide this product, newspapers that give real community, information, newspapers where you can actually get in them, Now, granted, never mind, I won't talk about the Star, but nevertheless, I think that that was fun. And my mother, God bless her, has saved. I was in the Hutchinson News when I was 5 years old, and this goofy picture and all that sort of stuff. And it's just, it's just something neat. You feel like you're world famous. And that's something that's cool for a kid. And I'm glad that there's still small town papers, community papers. There are folks that really speak to a part of our city, our region, our states that allow us to have that level voice.
Yeah. Well, awesome. We sure appreciate you joining us tonight. You've been very generous with your time. You've helped entertain Brad Carl. He gets antsy sometimes when he's not making music. But, so we appreciate you coming on with us tonight. And hey, shout out to everybody in the Northland. If there's anything in specific you want to share with our Northland audience before you sign off, let's do it.
Well, you know what? One of the things that makes me the saddest about the COVID-19 era, and look, a lot of things happened, but this is far from it. But I actually, and maybe you caught this, maybe you didn't, but I'm a churchgoer myself, and I find a real good way to see communities is to actually just worship with them. And I'm not pious. Don't get worried. I'm not going to start telling people how to live or anything. It was just nice to be a part of other faith communities just one Sunday, and I was getting to know the Northland a lot better actually by spending an hour and a half with people, and they'll invite you to a community event. They'll sit down, they'll feed you, and I look forward to doing that again. So if you are watching, and I shared this over on my own Facebook, drop your church if you're back to attending. I'm happy to come through. I'm double vaccinated, but I'll make sure I wear my mask, of course. But I like to get to community events because there's no cooler way to get to know and see a place. And I never want the Northland to just be a place on a map for me, or even just a few different leaders I talk to. I want to get to know the folks that don't vote, the folks that may have one issue stuck in their craw, and I look forward to doing that. So reach out to me. I'm easy to get. I've been to Platte County R3 schools probably 20 different times in this mayoral term,
Right.
And I look forward to making it back a lot more.
Yeah. And if you ever want to share your cell phone number with us again, you can do that.
Oh, I learned my lesson, and I'm just now getting past, the high point. I mean, the worst day wasn't stay-at-home order. It wasn't the protest, although all those people yelled at me. It's funny because one day it'd be all conservatives and then it's all liberals. Like, you're the worst guy ever. The worst thing was I talked about marijuana decriminalization or something like that, which, by the way, would be a great crop to grow in Platte County if it were legal. Wait till that happened. But and all these guys, everybody who was stuck in Cheech and Chong's days, were just kind of like, "Hey, bro, you want to come join us?" And I'm like, "No, no." I don't need more scandal, so we're okay with that.
You said it's okay for you, but it's not okay for me, really.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
Good. So, hey, thank you all, and hey, keep fighting the good fight. And as I see the good fight, it's just giving people information. I read Ivan sometimes, and it's not always favorable to Kansas City or the mayor, but you're making sure the information gets out there. And I think, these days that's just all that we need for the public. And thank you guys for being part of sharing that message.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you,
We
sir.
look forward to the day where you can come up and join us in person, Mayor.
Hey, at the Speakeasy, let's just
At
go
the
on
Speakeasy.
location.
Let's
We'll
do
do
it. We can do that. We shall.
Hey, thank you guys.
All right.
Have
Thank
fun.
you, sir.
Thank
Thank you very
take
much.
care.
Wow, that was fun.
That was good fun.
Good fun.
Now I'm going to remove that earpiece.
Was that bothering you?
Yeah, it was bothering me a little bit, but
got an
you,
itchy ear?
you survived it. You
I
survived
did,
it.
and I might need a Q-tip after this. Get it? Q.
Well,
tip?
the last show, Frank, when we were done, he was sticking his finger in your ear, virtually.
He was. That
Yeah.
was fun, though.
So-
Yeah. I think next time maybe Mayor Q will do that.
Yeah,
Maybe
he
he'll
might
be a little
when he
more
gets to know you
comfortable.
better.
Yeah, exactly. After the
I mean,
speakeasy event.
Kind of the first time you guys were together,
Right.
virtually.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, what'd you think?
I thought that was great. I will say this without going into detail. I've always said before, I'm not a political person, but I like to ask questions. We've had some politicians, some Platte County politicians in here before, and I've kind of said, hey, look, I don't know what I'm talking about, so answer me this. And I liked hearing his views, and I think that he makes a great point that it doesn't matter if you're on the left or you're on the right. It's like we're just trying to make things happen for Kansas City, and I believe him. I think he's believable, and that's important.
It is very important. If you can get that message across as a politician, you've got the battle won.
Right. I think
Right,
so.
yeah.
I think so.
Now-
Oh, by the way, also kudos to him for the Funkhauser drop. I always forget about Mayor Mark Funkhauser until
Yeah.
somebody brings him up by name.
He was interesting.
Yeah.
He and I should have brought this up to Mayor Lucas. The only Kansas City mayor who's ever invited me down into his office was Funkhauser.
Really?
Yeah, and so I went, and it was an interesting day. Which we can talk about that on a future show. But
Sure.
very cool. Now I'm waiting for Mayor Lucas to invite me down for of course with COVID and everything, it's tough to
That's
get
probably
inside, but,
true. We'll bring the speakeasy to him.
We'll bring it to him, and when he comes up here for the show in person, we'll get on to him about that. Brad, what do you got going on? Waiting for the drop of Meet Me at the Speakeasy on Spotify, but beyond that, what's going on?
Honestly, two things that come to mind. Number one, I told you at the Schneider tried to call me about, I don't remember what time it was now, and I'm like, dude, I can't.
Midnight?
I'm so busy.
Did he call you at
No,
midnight? Because he calls me
he
at
calls
midnight.
you at midnight,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
No, but he was trying to call me. I was too darn busy, right? I'm so busy at work, and I told you via text, it's like, man, I'm going to stink. My hair's not going to be cut. I haven't showered yet. I'm busy working because I work from home still, and which I've been doing, by the way, not a COVID thing. It's been a 6-year thing. And I thought about, as I was getting ready, I thought about just shaving the front of my head because I figured the camera's not going to see the back of my head.
Right.
But then I realized that we are turned to the side, and so I
Yeah.
probably better. So I
Yeah.
did the whole thing.
So how often do you shave that head?
Every time I'm going in the public.
Oh, okay. So that's pretty non-specific. But
Yeah,
then,
I
you
mean,
know,
every few days, sometimes
Okay.
a little bit longer. Like last week, I couldn't. That's why I wore the cap because I didn't get a chance to
oh,
get my
okay.
hair cut.
Your hair
right?
was kind of long.
Kinda-
then.
kinda-
Yeah.
For me, it was long. For me, it was long, which is
Kind of hippie long for you.
hippie long
yeah.
for me, right? But to answer your question, Ivan, tomorrow I've got to go out of town for a soccer tournament, just me and the girl,
Okay.
for a 3-day soccer tournament.
Is it intentional soccer though? Is
It
just-
will be with this team. It's hard to tell.
It's a lot of accidental soccer on
It
this
could
one.
be accidental soccer, right? And then on Sunday, depending upon if they go to the championship game, Ivan, the game is at 4, which means we won't get back. We're about 3 hours away. I won't get back till about 8 o'clock. Then I got to drive back up to Iowa for work Sunday
Oh, good
night
Lord.
for
Oh,
Monday
good
morning.
Lord.
So it's going to be a busy weekend for me. So this is my last chance to relax a little
cut
bit,
loose.
cut loose a little bit, to speak easy.
Yeah.
So,
Well, if we ever get an invitation, we'll hit that speakeasy. Something tells me we're not going to be on the members list. however.
I was very proud that after that video was released on YouTube last Friday after our show, that within an hour or two, it already had 1 thumbs down.
That tells you your message is getting out, my friend.
Apparently so. It's like I was going to tell Mayor Q that, the quote goes that if you've got people who don't like what you're doing, or you've got naysayers, that means you're doing something, and that's good, right? So we must be doing something.
This is true. You know we are.
Yeah,
We're doing it.
raising stir in the pot.
We are stirring the pot. Next month, I don't know when we'll do a show next, because honestly, I kind of need a break on a Thursday night. I've been really slammed here this week, and I'm just about needing a nap.
I was going to say the same thing.
But,
You and Mayor Q probably both need to go home and lay down on the couch.
So
together, if you'd like.
But one show that we're going to do in May, I know for sure, is the Platte County Prosecutor's Office and some of their special treatment courts, like the DWI court and various other courts.
Are we going to go there?
No, we're going to
okay.
we're going to bring some of the peeps in here on a socially distanced show, and so that'll be interesting. And as I think one of the judges, in fact, is going to join us too. So
good deal.
very cool. That'll be sometime in May. Watch for that announcement coming soon on our Facebook page. We'll more than likely have some shows before that. I think that's mid-May is what I want to say.
Okay.
Someone is tossing me a question.
Or
Brad, kill
an
some time?
announcement, well, I will say, I think I'd make a great judge.
Yeah.
And I mean, do you have to be an attorney first to become a judge? Because Schneider, do you know if I need to be an attorney to be? I'm trying to figure out. Do you think I need to be an attorney to become a judge? Because I'd like to become a judge.
I think you do, but again, I'm not. I don't.
Really
know.
good with hammers.
As long as you don't get hammered.
Right.
You know the saying, sober as a judge, Brad. So you got to stay sober when you're judge.
I thought that was priests. Or,
Okay.
No, maybe celibate. I don't know.
Is there? You said someone's online, like zooming in, or just chatting? Okay. I think we'll leave that topic for another show. But yeah, that's good to know. Thank you.
Oh, in the future.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got it now.
Yeah.
Took a
Look
while
at all
to-
these people out here.
Oh man, the live audience is throwing me off a little bit. Hey, well, nice visit with the mayor. We got some serious topics. We threw in some fun stuff, and it was a good visit, right, Brad?
It was a great visit. I really enjoyed it. In fact, it went better than I thought. I learned more than I thought, only because, like I said, I'm not a politician. I'm not a political guy, but
Right.
these are issues that are important to everybody.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, we thank you folks for tuning in. We'll be back again soon. Watch our Facebook page for announcements. In the meantime, you can check us out in the Platte County Landmark print edition. You can check out Brad Carl where?
YouTube.
Do you have an OnlyFans page? You need to get OnlyFans. You know what that is?
Oh, I do. I have a
Okay.
music page.
Okay.
Actually, Facebook.com/Brad Carl Music, I think.
Yeah, but there's like an OnlyFans app where people pay like a monthly fee to have access to all your stuff.
Nobody's going to pay money to hear my stuff.
That meet me at the speakeasy's worth some money, though.
I don't know. Let me know if you'd pay money. I don't
Okay.
think so.
Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We will see you again next time.
Bye.
Thank you.